I am Stephanie Weidner. I am the CEO of Active Self-Protection, which is a defensive firearms training company. But if you know us for our social media arm, which analyzes defensive encounters for lessons learned.
I am Neil Weidner. I am married to this lovely woman, and I am the marketing guy for said YouTube and training company for Active Self-Protection. So I line up all of our training dates everywhere that we go as we travel, and then I deal with the sponsors that we have on the channel.
I think as a woman in the firearms industry, one of the bigger challenges is very often you go to events and you are the only woman. It can be difficult to form relationships. I don't know if gun girls are wired a little bit different, or that might be accurate. But to show up at events over and over and constantly be the outsider, the one that has to walk a half mile to the bathroom while the guys all step aside the berm, just the constant reinforcement that you're different, it's okay and you can do with it, but when you actually find that community where you belong, and the girls that can laugh about the same things that you're laughing about, and the hikes to the bathroom, and the re-dealing with everything when you come out of the porta potties, and just little things like that community, finding your people, and people that are wired the way that you do, tick the way that you do, laugh about the things that you do, can be so incredibly valuable. If we learned really any lesson over the last year, it was that community and in-person time is just so vital and so important. So for me to be able to come and see not only my dear friends as we're scattered across the country and get to spend some time together in space, meeting new people and building those relationships that you can then maintain through social media and email and contacts, but you really can't replace that in space time. So the community and the ability to network and find other people that are like you, I think is really valuable.
You know, I think the in-person thing is so big, especially in the world that we live in now, because everybody's been separated so long, and it seems like right now we're kind of at a point where people are coming back together, and it's a reconnecting time, and a women-only event is so much different than an open training thing. And I'm a self-proclaimed training junkie, so I travel all over and take all the classes that I can take, and very rarely are there more than one or two women in a class. And they get treated differently. It's not just the hikes, because I recognize the hikes, because as we go and train, I see that, and Steph points it out to me all the time. So I totally get that.
We're not taking a 5-minute break. I've got a ways to walk.
As the instructor, when we're running a class and I say 5-minute break, Steph's like, no, we're going to need at least 15. And so I get that. I'm not great at it, but what I see is instructors teaching different, or treating the women in their class differently, and they hold them almost to a different standard. In a lot of cases, a lot lower standard, and they don't need to. Women, a lot of the women shooters that I know are fantastic shooters that can hang with me on my best day, and I'm a pretty above average shooter, maybe. But I know a lot of great women shooters, and they don't get held to the same standard a lot of times. And what's fun in coming and being a part of something like this is that I get to set the standard, and I get to say, hey, you know what, you're better than that. And it's a great thing to see a woman, or anybody, any shooter, it's not just a woman, but in something like this specifically, to see them stop and go, you know what, I am better than that. Let me try that one more time. And then you get that moment of joy that we get to celebrate. And I love being able to do that's it. There's the high five. Now you just got it. And just see that move forward. And then the next time you see them 6, 7, 8 months down the road, they're a completely different shooter. And usually so much better, because they've built some confidence from that. So that's one of the things I really love about events like this.
I think it helps the community grow by just showing that there is a bigger community, there are more women, and I don't want to leave like this negative taste, like if you show up in a class and you are the only woman. I've done it multiple times, and everyone's been very kind to me. It's been a very positive experience, so I wouldn't discourage that. But to come to something like this and really connect, and then women are so social. I mean, friendships will be built from this, that they will then be contacting each other and say, hey, I want to do this class. Hey, I want to travel there. Many of them, multiple of them, road tripped in here together and are staying together, and it's a far bigger social event even than just the social aspect here. They're going back to their Airbnbs and hotels and sharing time and space together. And I think when you make it that fun, social, community-oriented event, and you have that first experience learning how a shooting line works and how a class works, and then you can approach the class with a far greater level of comfort because you're not unsure what to do. You've gone through that, you know how to do that. So then you can navigate maybe any discomfort that you're having by being the only woman, because you've removed some other levels of discomfort, I think.
Yep. I think it normalizes handgun and self-defense training to have something like this where women can come and share in the experience with other women. And once it's normalized, then getting into a regular open class isn't as daunting or as big a deal. And so I think just the opportunity to get together, spend some time, socialize, do the fun stuff. And frankly, training like this is fun. We don't do this because it's work. We do this because it's fun and we're passionate about it. So once it's normalized, I think it opens the door to going to other classes and having people and a network to rely upon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how often are we, specifically in our classes, which maybe isn't specifically to the Mingle, but trying to find ways to laugh and enjoy and to make it a social event and not this chore that you're going to. And yes, it's serious and safety is important and all of those things. But if you're just miserable, you're not learning. So to open it up that we can learn and we can be safe and we can have a ton of fun, I think is a really valuable lesson. And this is a great event that wraps all of that together, I think.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that Shelley said earlier this morning was, it's a, we want people to come here and be engaged and have fun, but safety's first. And if that's not the first thing one of the very first things you hear out of the organizer's mouth, then maybe it's something else you need. Maybe you need to look for other options. But you can be safe and still have fun. That you can still laugh, you can still joke around. When it's time to be safe, we're all safe, and everybody's focused on that. So I really think that something like this gives people a good, safe place, very organized, and just it's just a delight to be here. This is my first time coming here. Steph's been here before and told me really good things. I'm just happy that I got to come. So this is fun.
We used to jokingly, not really jokingly, it was actually very serious, but kind of a funny way to say that Brian is the best kept secret in the training industry, and Shelley is just really the rudder that steers all of that, organizes it, and kind of that foundation for it, directs it. And I don't think that's going to be like that for forever. They're getting so much exposure, and just the level of talent and experience and the ability to communicate, and like you say, in a fun way where you can laugh and smile and have a safe space. That's pretty crazy. And yeah, I just feel like I'm incredibly blessed to have that quality of friendship. I think it's pretty rare.
It is, it's in the firearms industry with instructors, there is the tendency to have some cutthroat stuff out there, and there's some people that aren't really, they don't have my best interest in mind when they talk to me or ask or anything like that. Shelley and Brian Hill are two that they have the best interest of everyone in mind. So it's not about them growing. They're going to grow and become who they are in this industry based on what they've done for others. So it's really a service thing. And, I said it the very first time I trained with Brian, I'm like, this is the best instructor I've ever had. And, growing up, and I know you can't tell now, but I used to be kind of an athlete. Brian Hill's probably the best coach that I've ever trained under. And it's not just that it's not just that he can analyze and figure out and give you techniques. It's that he cares enough to do that, and then he pushes you a little bit. And I think once you get to a certain point in your shooting life, instructors stop. They're like, okay, that guy knows what he's doing. It's okay. Brian's not like that. Brian will take he just did it last weekend, took one of the best shooters in the freaking country and gave him 2 things to work on. And that guy came back and he's like, holy cow, it's, I don't get this coaching very often. And that was one of the very first things that hit me with Brian was he wants to coach. He wants to help people get better. He's very analytical. And yet he creates a fun and engaging environment. And then Shelley just
a delight.
I don't even know how to.
She's like so joy embodied.
Yeah, and when you go to a class and the two of them are there together, it's just everything is augmented because Shelley's there. Everything's a little bit bigger, a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaged. a little bit more focused, just because she's there, and it's a delight to hang out with these people, and I'm glad that we get to call them friends.
Mm-hmm.